With that being said, Connor, we're not going through all 32 playoff scenarios, but we are coming into the final week, and what a matchup we have. We're going to leave the two top-end matchups for the end of the preview, but we'll start off the Carleton Ravens at the Guelph Griffins. Carleton coming off a big win over Waterloo. Guelph showing some signs of life on offense. Connor, where are we thinking this one's going to play out? Is Carleton going to stay at 5-3 or falter to 500?
I'm not sure exactly how this game's going to fall, but I do know that if Guelph comes out in this one and plays a similar game to what we saw them play last week, it's certainly going to be a lot closer than people think. Now, that being said, we know the weapons on this Carleton Ravens offense. Tanner gets to throw the ball to Kasim Ferdinand, who has had a great year.
I think the interesting one with this is Guelph's run defense all year has been fairly strong. Against Ottawa, they took some lumps, and against Laurier, they took some lumps. I think Carleton's going to see that and say, like, oh my God, we can really get after this. And they're going to find out it's a lot tougher to run on this Griffins D. So it's going to come down to Tanner DeYoung throwing the ball with volume like he did last week, 38 attempts. I think that the Carleton Ravens can definitely win this and maybe host a playoff game in the first round. All right, Connor, I'm going to put on my fan alumni hat here as the Varsity Blues are in playoff position with 3 wins right now. They've got to play the McMaster Marauders, who are fighting tooth and nail for that 7th spot at 2-5. If Toronto wins, they're 4-4. I think they are in a good spot because I think that would put them closer to a matchup with the Carleton Ravens. If McMaster wins, there creates a huge logjam at 3-5. And it could spell the Varsity Blues playing the Ottawa GGs or Queens Gales or even Western Mustangs in the first round of the playoffs. How do we think this one's going? Toronto coming off a bye.
Yeah, Toronto's coming off a bye. And last week, you heard me talk about McMaster and call Andreas Dueck kind of their do-all guy, and that he is going to have to do everything, or that he had to do everything in that game last week against Queens. I think they need to find some consistency on offense. I don't want to see Dueck be a do-all guy. I want to see him be comfortable in the pocket, have his time, get to rip the ball around the field, because that's when the McMaster Marauders offense is at their best. But on the other side of the ball, Toronto has their own do-all guy, and they are going to need to lean into him on the ground game.
Yeah, Adam Williams, certainly the driving force of this Varsity Blues offense. I think when we look at them coming off of a bye, they get fresh legs, fresh rest. That O-line can kind of reset and begin to assert their dominance early and often against McMaster.
And we did see them have a couple big defensive days this year, a couple games where they had multiple picks. So I want to see how the back end responds to a guy like Dueck. This is going to be one of the most precise passers I think Toronto is going to see this year, outside of obviously Western. But I'm curious to see how they're going to respond defensively to what McMaster is going to bring and how they're going to limit the offense and make Dueck beat them one-on-one.
And the Waterloo Warriors heading to the Windsor Lancers. Connor, this one is a big one. If Waterloo wins, they are not yet done. But if the Windsor Lancers hold on, they're going to lock up a playoff spot and really have a great year for what people thought of them coming into the season. Windsor, obviously running the ball. Waterloo, Nolan Caban, can he limit the turnovers, right?
I think those are the two big storylines going into this. But guess what? Waterloo still has to travel down the highway. They still have to go to Windsor. They still have to play at Alumni Stadium. I know it's not a 6, 7, 8 hour drive, but nonetheless, I want to see how their run game and their defense is going to travel.
I agree with that one. Let's move on, though, because we have 2 massive matchups here for the top of the table. The Queens Gales, Laurier Golden Hawks. I am very much in awe of this Laurier team as they've kind of just continued to climb and build and take each step each week to the point where I think they're a force and one of the top teams in the conference. With this, Taylor Algusma has been taking shots downfield. They complement that very well with a run game, and their defense is so athletic.
So athletic. They're rangy. They're all over the back end of the ball. I mean, they get a great push up front that allows them to create some havoc in the backfield. And even on a team as well-rounded as this, they still have a phenomenal kicker and special teams unit with Dawson Hodge leading that. But Queens, what are we looking at with Queens?
It's more of the same. I mean, if James Keenan is still out and Alex Freakin has to take the reins, they're going to really rely on that run game to kind of take some pressure off the second-year quarterback. I know he did not play last year, so this is essentially his first taste of OUA action. But I think that Freakin can step up and make some big-time throws, but he's going to need some help to do so against such a good team.
And don't look now, but Taylor Elgersma slowly climbing his way into the top passing touchdowns category in all of U Sports. I believe he's sitting in 3rd or 4th right now.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, let's move on to your Ottawa GGs, Connor, who have a chance to be the number 1 overall seed and get the first round bye in the playoffs this year. They're taking on the Western Mustangs at home. It's a noon start from TD Place. JP Simonkinda coming off his big 230-yard performance. But there's a two-headed monster in purple and silver who averages the same each week.
Yeah, and there are 4 great running backs in this game. And I say 4 because there is a second back in Ottawa that can do his thing too, and Am LeClaire Polk, but certainly Keon Edwards, Edward Renati, JP Simonkinda, that is going to be who is going to dominate this game. I think it's just going to be a battle of the run games, a battle of who can hold on defense and who is going to sink the dagger with that one home run shot. Like, I think this is going to be a very technical, very methodical game. I've liked everything I've seen. I know it might sound a little bit biased, but I've liked everything I've seen from Coach Nate Taylor so far this year. And obviously, the Western Mustangs are one of the best offenses in the country.
I agree with that one, but there's a certain physicality that comes with playing the Western Mustangs that unless you play them, you don't get to replicate that. So we'll see how well Ottawa holds up early in this game and if they can sustain it throughout 60 minutes. If you guys want to watch these games, go buy tickets. Cannot stress that enough. There's games in Ottawa. There's games in Windsor, Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Hamilton. Go and get your tickets if you can't, or you're in the region that's way away from one of the local schools that are hosting. OUA TV is a great way to watch, free to do so live and on demand. Just sign up with your email. So check it out, oua.tv.